First and foremost, condolences to Tyrelle Burke's friends and family. You can only imagine how it must feel to be a parent and to know that your son was k'd by his own best friend and on the front steps of his own home. Imagine being reprimanded in court, chastised and being given a dressing down by the judge when you were on trial for an M that you committed as a 17-year-old teenager. You look the judge in the face, clench your hands into fists to stop your knees from buckling, and bite the inside of your lip to stop the nausea. After all, you're about to be sentenced for k'ing your own best friend. You listen intensely to the judge say things like, you have an unhealthy familiarity with blades and you are all too willingly able to use them. And then the judge says that as punishment for the M, you will be jailed for 7 years and 3 months. Where's the justice as a parent? That must feel like you've had the wind knocked out of you. Now this is what 18-year-old Denver Walton was jailed for after being found guilty of manslaughter. 7 years and 3 months for k'ing his own best friend. Now Manchester Crown Court heard that the 18-year-old Denver Walton had been good friends with the victim, 20-year-old Tyrelle Burke. Together, the men would do things like play football, go out to town, and even sleep at each other's home. But more importantly to the case, they would often drink and take dr, things like white and also Xanax and codeine and promethazine. When they were high, the group of friends would often prank each other and then record the pranks on the phone to show each other the next day. But these teenagers and young men, they were your typical young men living in inner city urban life. Unfortunately, they didn't have much going for them, and that's why they relied on drink and also dr. Now, it was during a sleepover at Tyrelle's home on April 3rd, 2019, that he shared with his mum and little brother that Denver Walton had picked up a blade that had been hidden in a bedside drawer in Tyrelle's bedroom. Now, after everyone began to take Xanax and also codeine mixed with drink, the 3 friends slumped in and out of sleep. By 4 a.m, everyone was asleep apart from Denver. Now, Denver had picked up the kitchen blade that he told police Tyrelle kept in a drawer beside his bed, and then proceeded to make incisions on Tyrelle's leg 6 or 7 times. Now, because Tyrelle was so far out of it due to the drink and also to the Xanax, he did not even stir in his slumber. Now, Denver was said to have giggled and laughed at his latest prank and even recorded his actions as a token that he could play back to his mates once everyone woke up the next morning. Now, Denver did not do the action lightly and he actually drew red. Just 24 hours later, Tyrelle, being the oldest in the group, then decided to book a hotel room at the Britannia Hotel in Northenden so he and friends could have a drink and dr session. Now, according to reports, Tyrelle Burke, Denver Walton and others had all taken Xanax once again. The men had also purchased white and also weed that they planned to use once at the hotel. Now, once everyone was at the hotel, including a third friend by the name of Gamboa, Sirach, Cavassier and also lean was free-flowing, was passed around the group, and of course everyone was drinking. The group of friends was said to have spent part of the evening laughing, joking, rapping, drinking and also snorting. By 4 a.m, Tyrelle and Cole were high and also drunk. They were mashed up in every possible way, so much drink and dr in their system. Now, a female friend by the name of Kerry Stone, who had a young baby, had joined the group of friends in the early hours of the morning, and by the time it was 5:30 a.m, it was decided that Tyrelle, Keris and Denver would go back to Tyrelle's home. According to Keris, she wanted to finish off the bottle of Cavassier, but did not want to return home drunk and disturb her 11-month-old daughter. Now, belligerent, loud and a bother, Tyrelle, Denver and Keris walked through the front door of Tyrelle's mum's home on Cross Acre Road in Withamshire, slamming the door behind them as they stomped through the hallway and then used the walls to keep themselves upright. Now, at the time, Tyrelle's mum was said to be getting ready for work, and she confronted her son at the brazenness of bringing friends home at 5:30 in the morning, especially when the younger brother was in bed asleep. Now, against a better judgment, Tyrelle was told to take his friends to his room and then go to sleep. It was also mentioned that she was not happy at having guests in her home at such a time, which is understandable, and then Tyrelle's mum left for work. The three friends were initially confined to Tyrelle's bedroom for a while, where the gang had talked and continued to finish off the bottle of Cavassier. At some point, Tyrelle and Keris were laying down in the bed next to each other, and then an argument broke out between Tyrelle and Denver. Now, neither Denver nor Keris ever disclosed the nature of the argument, but it was serious enough that Tyrelle's buzz was worn off immediately, and he was functioning enough to tell Denver to get out of the house. However, Denver refused, telling Tyrelle that he's not going anywhere. The more Denver refused to leave, the angrier Tyrelle got, until Tyrelle brought a hand into a fist and then swung on his own good friend. Tyrelle caught Denver Walton on the nose, popping it and red spilling. Now, Tyrelle and Denver and Keris made it to the front of the house. A neighbour witnessed Tyrelle telling Denver once again to leave. Still, Denver refused. At this point, Denver was put in a lock via his head. Doubled over, Denver Walton swung his right hand, despite being left-handed, at Tyrelle, targeting the stomach once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Initially, everybody thought that he was landing a hook on Tyrelle. Now, Keris was heard to try and get between the two people and was screaming, "Stop, stop." And then Tyrelle's arms ceased to work, lapping by his side, and at that point it was though the world had stopped. Tyrelle had been bladed in the side of his stomach. Denver had fled the scene with the blade, and Keris was doing her best to keep Tyrelle upright and lead him back into the house and then up the stairs into his bedroom. Now, Denver was so young, and I don't just mean that with age, but also his mentality. Because when Denver fled the scene, he also ran away from police when they attempted to arrest him later on. And where did the K go? Where did he run off to? He ran home, of all places. Denver Walton cleaned himself up, washed the red off, and then hid the blade behind his house. Denver then spent the next hour or so trying to put his thoughts together and trying to search feeds to see if anybody reported the incident, and how to convince friends and family that this was self-defense, or, at the next opportunity, a tragic incident that he would be sorry for. When Denver was eventually arrested, he told police that it was self-defense. Denver says that he swung his arm to force Tyrelle to release his grip, and he also mentioned that he did have a blade, but he says he was not sure if the blade actually made contact with Tyrelle. However, his lies were exposed when neighbours and Keris both gave statements explaining that Denver had repeatedly tried to strike Tyrelle at least 6 or 7 times because his t-shirt was sliced in the process, and it was more than one strike. Denver then says that if he did manage to blade Tyrelle, it was likely that it happened upstairs. However, this was another lie, and it was outed again when the judge noted that the trail of red started at the front doorstep, meaning whatever happened had to have taken place on the doorsteps when the witness and Keris seen what happened. The police also commented that if Denver counted Tyrelle as such a good friend, why leave your pal and not assist him when his body literally broke down? Now, rather than see Denver Walton as a young man who armed himself with a blade, even when in the company of good friends, was so reliant on drinks and drer to function, picked up a blade, used it on his own good friend at the first sign of a confrontation, the judge decided to think of Denver, a now 18-year-old teenager, as a testament to the notion that blades, drer, alcohol, and youths don't mix. And even after reading the impact statement where Tyrelle's mum explained that Tyrelle was pronounced dead that afternoon at 5 p.m, she could not even touch or hug her son or say goodbye to him, as police treated Tyrelle's body as evidence. Now, the judge saw fit to impose a jail sentence of just 7 years and 3 months. Does the crime match the sentence? Let me know. Stay safe.